Hello everyone, I'm Kamon, welcome. So, some of you who peruse play Starbound.com a little bit more frequently have probably already seen this post from Ty. He addresses some concerns that are coming from the community and how he wants to address them going forward into the stable branch and all that good stuff, and content releases after that. So, the first one that he wanted to talk about is that guns do too little damage, and more specifically, he's talking about the ones that have a higher fire rate. Because of the way that defense currently works, is it's basically like it's very similar to one defense defends against 1 damage, 2 defense defends against 2 damage. So if you have a higher firing rate and you're doing 5 damage per bullet and you have 2 defense, well, you're already losing like 40% of your attack damage. But if you fire at something that has a really slow firing rate that does 100 damage, they're only defending against 2% of that damage. So that's something that they're going to address. They're basically going to look at ways to rework the protection system, the defense system. Mining is a little dull, and this is something that I personally have to agree with. Whenever you're doing mining underground, there's not a lot to do. You run into like the occasional room, you run into some mines, you run into stuff from time to time, but to be honest, most of the stuff you run into is close to the surface. So a lot of people end up dwelling around the surfaces, and then when they do underground, it can be a relatively boring experience. Now, something we have to realize is that this is a beta game, and it's something that they're still working on. They're still working on content for when you go deeper into the when you go deeper into the planet. So that's just something that's going to come with time, and they did say that they're going to work on more content that you run into when you go deeper underground. I mean, for games like Terraria that have been out for a while, we know that there's so many things you can do. You run into different plants, different creatures, those different creatures drop different things, there's a reason to go farming for stuff, so it's just a little bit of a different kind of grind. Even though there might be a little bit of a grind, in Terraria it's a lot more active. The engagement when you run into monsters is much more common, there's a lot more creatures, and their tunneling system is a lot different. The way that they spawn tunnels and caves and that kind of stuff. So a lot of them end up being bigger, and you'll run into more monsters. So it's just a different environment altogether. But they did say that they're going to work on creating more dungeons, more things that you'll run into underground. There is no reason to build on a planet. This is a huge one. A lot of you know, whenever I do my videos, if you look at my ship, everything's on my ship. I have no reason to leave my ship. Especially with all the upgrades, there's tons of rooms, there's tons of storage, there's a whole bunch of things that you can do there, and you never have to leave. So that is something that I agree with 100%. They are actually working on making it so that some stuff won't even work unless it's on the planet. So I actually thought that was kind of cool, and I could definitely see some different implementations for that. So that's something I look forward to, because a lot of you know that I enjoy building things. But when I can just put everything on my ship, it's kind of boring for me. But I still make stuff. Even though I don't have to, I'll still make stuff. So that's one way they're looking at addressing that. Monster pathfinding is bad. Yes, it is. I think all of you have probably ran into that situation where there's a creature that's down in a cave, or like there's a creature here, you're here, but there's a cave in the middle of you. Creature falls into the cave, but doesn't really know how to get back out. There is an NPC during the mysterious party mission with the Florins. Some of you may remember that I did a video on it. And there's an NPC that follows you, but gets stuck on one block, like constantly. But they address this as they made a lot of changes to the monster behaviors, and that's very true, but that's just something that they're going to look into. It's hard to get into the technical details on that one without talking programming, so that's just something that they're going to work on. Hunger and or temperature is gone. Again, I'm sure most all of you noticed this. You don't have to eat. Temperature's no longer a thing. If you go to like a cold planet or a hot planet, you just start taking damage if you don't have your suit on. So that's something that they're going to work on again. They basically stated it as they just didn't like how they implemented it, so they're just going to work on that and bring it back in a different way. They didn't give a lot of details on that one. There's only one path through the game. So basically what they're saying is that it's adventuring and combat, questing and combat, and that's pretty much it. They want to make it so that you can go mining and progress. They want to make it so that you can go, what was the other example they gave? Oh, farming and building. Make it so that you can progress by doing those kinds of things. Building, that made me pretty excited, so I'd be interested to see how they'll implement that. I've never really seen a game go too far into making it so that when you build, you progress. So I'll be interested to see what they do there. Quests are too fetchy, and there aren't enough quests. Honestly, this is something... Everyone should understand by this point that questing is still relatively new. It's something that they're going to be working on, so that's pretty much what their response was. You know, there's a lot of placeholders in there. That was just to get people progressing through the game and to get from start to finish. They have a lot more planned for that, so I think we should all be on the same understanding that that's something they're just going to work on. It's just one of those things where you just have to add more content, and that just comes with time. So that's pretty much all that they said for their main concerns, and I think that's a pretty solid list because most of those are actually concerns that I have as well. So I like that they're addressing them, and I like that they're, you know, planning on taking care of a lot of them going forward. Now, one thing that I also wanted to address was our Starbound videos and how they're going to work for a little bit until we come out with the stable branch. I'm going to hold off on a lot of guides. Guides take hours. Like when I was doing that unstable branch guide for you, each of those videos took about 2 to 3 hours to make. So it takes a lot of time. So what I'm going to do for now is I am going to be doing mostly coordinate videos. I might do a guide from, you know, here or there if it's something that piques my interest, but until stable is out, it's going to be mostly coordinate videos. I might fire up a let's play because my roommate's getting pretty close to having his stuff set up, so it just depends. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to address for this vlog. I know it was a pretty long vlog, but the target was, you know, talking about stable stuff and what they wanted to address for some of the concerns that the community has voiced. But anyways, I hope this was informative for you. If you guys have anything else that you want me to address, definitely leave it down in the comments section. In the meantime, you need to take care.